We're joined via Zoom by political analyst, Professor Ibbo Mandaza. Prof, always a pleasure to have you on SABC News. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hello.
As a start, let's talk about what this agreement entails, and also what I'd like to find out is, does this not put Abdalla Hamdok, on a weaker footing, given that they've shown, the military has shown that they can indeed take over power and, put him and place him in hiding? Surely this can be quite embarrassing for him.
Well, I think there's some progress, but not completely so. There has been a major concession by the military. They've given in to both domestic pressure mainly, the massive demonstrations across Sudan, and of course international pressure. But it's not enough, because Hamdok has not had the opportunity yet to meet his people, especially the Forces for Freedom and Change. The suspicion here is that the military is trying to conclude a deal in which the Forces for Freedom and Change are not involved. So really, he has not even addressed or met his colleagues yet. He's virtually under house arrest as it is. So while there is some progress and indications of the military buckling to pressure, it's not game over. It's not game over yet, because I think the Force for Freedom and Change want a civilian transitional authority. They want the military out altogether. And I think that mistake made in August 2019 to have included the military in the transitional authority. And as you know, the Sovereignty Council, Buran has that. The military is still over dominant in the polity of the Sudan.
And let's talk about the issue of stability. I mean, you talk about the fact that there is indeed progress, but here we are with Hamdok still under house arrest still. Are we likely to get to a point where there is indeed stability following this reinstatement? I mean, what do you see, what do you foresee after all of this?
Well, as I say, it's a long process. Already you can see that Hamdok was supposed to appear at 1 o'clock our time to sign the agreement, whatever agreement it is. Well, it's not out yet. Clearly, Hamdok knows the enormous support he has in the civil society. He knows the enormous amount of support that he has in the international community. He's not going to give in to a wishy-washy agreement. He won't. So, as I said earlier on, it's not game over yet. The tension persists, demonstrations continue, and I think we have to admire the bravery of the Sudan masses and setting a precedent that the masses can bring to book oppressive regimes on our continent.
Prof, there needs to be some sort of responsibility for, the lives lost, and I wonder if we'll ever see that happening. I mean, we've had clashes in Sudan's capital, and of course a deadly coup that's obviously been that was ongoing, and of course we've also know that the Sudan's military coup has also been stifling speech, for example. One wonders, in terms of the progress that you speak of, are we also looking at, the fact that there should be something happening, given that there were deaths throughout this coup?
Precisely, Flo. 40 people reportedly dead at the hands of the military, and hundreds still in political detention in the Sudan. As I said earlier on, we are still a long process away from an agreement or a solution of that matter. So it's many days yet before we see the kind of acceptable solution that most people would expect. And indeed, as you suggest, the military has to be held accountable for the 40 deaths. And there must be a demand for the release of all the others who are still in detention, because those who have been released from house arrest are mainly the political leaders, but not the hundreds who have been rounded up across the country since 25th of October last month.
All right, Prof. Thanks very much for giving us your time here on SABC News. It's always a pleasure to see you, sir.